Because of the following special program, Mr. Merlin will not be presented this evening.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
If you like comic books, then you definitely like comic art. Visit comicartfans.com to see original comic artworks and custom drawings that people have collected and posted online. Coming soon, Comic Art Fans is hosting an in-person event called the Original Art Expo that will focus on the hobby of collecting original comic art. The Original Art Expo will be held at the Doubletree by Hilton Hotel in Orlando, Florida on January 26th through the 28th, 2024. They will have over 30 exhibitors and 60 comic artists. Spend the weekend in an intimate setting with some of the best creators in the world. Purchase or commission a piece of original comic art. Visit the Comic Art and Illustration Galleries. Attend the Saturday night auction and pizza party and hang out with your fellow comic art enthusiasts. The Original Art Expo is sure to be the world's premier visual storytelling art event, so don't miss out. Go to oa-expo.com to get your tickets today and visit comicartfans.com to see what comic art collecting is all about.
Hi, I'm Alex Ross.
The two pieces are sort of a type. They're both kind of recreations of artwork that existed in the 90s. In fact, this piece here for the Avengers is in most ways a recreation or a tribute to George Perez's poster version from the mid-90s, where he did a shot that featured in it a figure of Captain America that was very similar to what I've done here, positioning of the Vision or positioning of Hawkeye, and I believe a few other elements are very similar to that piece, and it's consciously so. I was building off that inspiration, but I kind of refitted my design to fill out bigger shots of the figures so that I was making a wider composition and getting in a lot of the same characters, but still not quite as many as what George himself did, because George's thing was always to try and get in the maximum amount of content into pieces that he did.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Always happy to welcome Kelly Thompson back to Word Balloon. Kel, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, John.
Oh, it's my pleasure as always, buddy. And you are killing it. I was telling you off the air, Birds of Prey is so great. And issue 4 is coming out next Tuesday. And there's a little sneak preview, everybody, of the cover. We knew it was coming because if you've been following the book, this is the plan. Black Canary's sister Sin being held by the Amazons, and Canary has assembled a new Birds of Prey team to help her out, and one of the big guns, Big Barda, and really looking forward to this showdown between Big Barda and Diana Prince, Wonder Woman. This is going to be great.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, I love the issue. It's my favorite. It's my favorite issue we've done. I mean, issue 1 is pretty big in my heart, if only for like these incredible Cascane fight scenes that we got. We had 3 of them in that first issue.
Yeah.
So it's sort of an embarrassment of riches there. So there are some things about 1 that will like always be, always make 1 pretty important and special to me. But I have to say 4 is where it really, like, the wheels sort of come off in a sense that it really just fires on all cylinders. Like when I read it, I just had when I was rereading it, when I had all the art in and letters placed and everything, I was just had a huge smile on my face. But I do have to like prepare myself. I do think a thing that happens to me is I'm sometimes surprised when people are upset about things that it doesn't occur to me to be upset about, because I'm just so excited to write Wonder Woman having to fight the Birds of Prey, and specifically Barda. And we all know it's sort of a misunderstanding, and I don't really like heroes fighting each other either for extended periods. But seeing them clash together when they're on opposite sides of something, and like genuinely everyone's sort of trying to do the right thing, but they're kind of going about it the wrong way. I don't know. I just think it's really rich, juicy, fun stuff, and I hope people will enjoy it. But you know, there's a sort of like Neanderthal brain as a comic book writer where you're just like, wait, can I put Wonder Woman this? Can they fight? Will that be super cool? And like, you know, it's easy to get caught up in your own excitement about what you want to do. And like sometimes you step back and you go, oh wait, is this gonna like piss a lot of people off? And of course it will, because anytime heroes fight each other, someone's mad and it exhausts me. But you know, I'm someone who tries very hard to never punk a character, even if they're not the title character in the book, because these are characters I love. I don't want to see them punked. But you know, that's a very tough line to walk. And your whole team also has to be really on the same page with that, because you could write something a certain way, and if your artist doesn't see it the same way, maybe like that's not how it comes out, you know? So I don't know. I think it's a hell of an issue. I think it's super fun. I think everyone shows like sort of why they're amazing. I don't think it punks anyone, but I'm sure the fans will disagree.
Well, and I get it, and I hear what you're saying. You know, it's especially, good Lord, Kel, I've been reading comics since the 70s, and it's like, okay, don't worry, the heroes are going to fight for a second, but they'll figure out their motivations. You'll eventually, you know, don't worry, they'll be friends again. Everything's going to be fine. and it's I mean, you lay everything out. I love the guest stars that have been showing up as well. But let's go back to the beginning and assembling this team. This is from the first cover. So first of all, because again, sometimes I got to catch up. What is up with Dinah and Barbara Gordon, Batgirl? Why are they at odds right now?
I cannot tell you that. You'll have to read. No,
Yeah.
there's nothing. It's set up in one, just mysteriously that Maps has told, or Meridian has told Dinah that Barbara can't be involved. And so Dinah is sort of making her list without Barbara, which is very difficult for her.
Sure.
And we allude to it a couple times, but anyone who sticks it out for the first 6 issues, which wraps up the Themyscira arc, will get a lot more clues. Like Barbara's in issue 6, and she's in it. I mean, I here's a scoop. She's in 7. She's in 8. She's in it. She's in it. Starting in 6, she's appears, and then when we'll be dealing with it. But like, it's a big plot related thing. So
totally understand. Yeah.
You know, I think people will be happy if they've stuck it out. I hope if the Harley Quinn fans get mad that she's rolling off after 6, hopefully Barbara Gordon fans will come in and realize we've been making a really good book here that they might like. So, you know, I don't know. I want everyone to be happy, but it's just not possible. Well, so, you know, I don't know.
You have to set up obstacles to tell a story. I mean, I get it. I've been on this.
I know you get it. I know you get it. I would like everyone to please listen to your podcast so that they can get it too. I think there's a real, I hate talking negatively about fans, because I'll be honest with you, I have some of the greatest fucking fans around. I have like really incredible people who are supporting me, and like who have like really high media literacy, but I encounter a lot of shit that I don't really even understand. Like some of the complaints people have, it's exactly what you're saying. It's like they don't want anything negative to happen in the story. They don't want anything bad to happen to their characters. Like, this is life, man. Yep. How you grow and change and connect to the world, you have to go through some shit. Like, you know why I don't write about my life? Because it's really boring and I don't do anything. Nobody wants to read the comic book of my life. It's incredibly dull. You know, I just, you want to read about these characters interacting with the world, and that's not always going to go well, especially the kind of lives they lead. But I don't know. I guess I think it's fair that readers have been burned a lot. I mean, I'm a reader and fan too. I've been burned too. So maybe you just get your guard up so much, but it's really hurting us on media literacy. Like I worry about how little people seem to understand some of the stuff they're reading. It's pretty funny to me that, comics get sort of a bad rap as being something that it's too expensive for how quick you can read it, especially in like more decompressed or modern era books.
Yes.
You're not getting a wall of words. It's not really what you get. But I would say to all those people, you're reading the books too fast. Like, I'm not saying the value is there for 2 hours, but you're probably reading it too fast. There's probably a lot more that you're missing. Character work, whatever. I mean, one of the real beauties of comics is that more than any other media, other than maybe novels, I guess, because you're doing so much lifting as a reader there.
Sure.
Comics ask so much of you. Panel gutters, you're supposed to be filling in the blanks.
Yep.
Between that. Like that's part of the marriage between a person and a comic book, is recognizing that you're supposed to be engaged with it. It's supposed to make enough sense that you can pull in the stuff you don't. It's not every single frame that's drawn. And I worry that people are missing sort of the very art of comics a little bit with some of these, I don't want to read this story unless I know why Barbara Gordon's involved or not involved. Well, I mean, literally it would break the story in a lot of places to do that. So can't you just trust me that we're going to get there, and that hopefully I'll blow your mind when we do, like that you'll be surprised and like, oh my gosh, and you get a gasp. Like Tinian got a gasp out of me for his, I'm so sorry, I've forgotten the name of it. What's the name of his new Deviant, right?
Oh, sure. Yes.
The Deviant. Yes. He got the greatest gasp out of me for like a small character moment in like a flashback scene. And I just thought, that's some masterful comic book work, right? And I just feel like if I'd been going too fast, I would have completely blown by it. Like, I would have understood it enough. It wouldn't have mattered. But sure, it would have completely changed the reading experience and how emotionally I connected with that work. And I don't know. I just want to encourage people to slow down a little bit and make sure you're making all the connections that writer and artist are trying to make for you. Anyway.
I do, and I appreciate you putting it into words. And I agree with you. I do think sometimes people breeze too fast. They don't stop and smell the roses, or in your case, obviously, enjoy your partner in all this as well. You're a fantastic artist. Before we get to the artist, I want to put up a couple comments from people right now. Mike says, fingers crossed for Diana and Barta putting on a Texas clover leaf. All right. I'm not a wrestling guy. I'm assuming that's a wrestling thing. Ourboro Snake says, as long as Zealot is staying, he's cool with it. And Columbo says, oh my God, Kelly, hi. Well, I'm glad you caught it, man. Or a woman, pardon me. I don't mean to misgender if Columbo is not a man.
For Zealot, I have bad news with a ray of hope.
Okay.
So she, like Harley, is rolling off after 6, but
interesting.
I have an idea about bringing her back in for 9 through 13. So if that works out, which I hope it will, then she'll be back. But she will be rolling off on 6.
Okay.
I think like there are only you like to please the fan base when you feel like I feel like they're really responding to Zealot, and I'm pleased with that because there was a lot of like, who the fuck is Zealot? And
yeah, I'm one of those people.
Yeah, but I feel like we've put an interesting thread in there, and we've really showed off like sort of her character and her personality and stuff that I think maybe some people didn't expect. And so I've seen a lot of people being pretty excited about her. And, you can't really anticipate that when you put that character on the team. And I'm writing her in such a way that it just, no, even if every single person in the world wanted her to stay on, it just narratively doesn't make sense. But it does make sense to bring her back in 9. So I'm going to see if I can do that.
Excellent. Columbo, and I'm glad you're saying this, is a massive Cassandra Cain fan. I thank you.
Oh, yes.
You've done a great job with her so far. Well, and I wanted to show Kel some of this incredible art, and I'm going to go back to issue 1 and that fantastic montage. Here we go.
That first fight scene.
Yeah, with Canary and Cassandra taking care of business. Sorry, hold on. Is it working?
I don't see it. We moved to the side, but there's no image.
Oh, here we go.
There he is. Man, Leo is so good. I don't know if he and I didn't talk specifically about this, but the first time I ever tried DeLuca effect, which is the multiple figures moving through a panel of space.
That's amazing. I've never heard that before. I always attribute that to Carmine Infantino back in the Silver Age with the Flash, but tell me why it's called the DeLuca effect. I love that.
So I wrote this whole post about it. It's got its roots from DeLuca from I'm sorry, I feel like you're testing me now. I'm failing.
No.
Everyone go to my Substack and read the great informed piece I wrote about DeLuca effect.
I love it.
But it's a legitimate thing. Certainly, Flash and Carmine did it for sure. There are lots of examples of it through the years. Sure. I use it a lot in modern stuff that I'm doing. And Hawkeye with Leo was the first place I really tried it out.
Okay.
And so he and I it's not issue 1. I think it's either issue 2 or 3. We do our first version of DeLuca effect together with Kate.
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple. It's just a few Kates through an alleyway scene where she's sort of beating up and arrowing and kicking some like frat guys that are attacking a woman.
Okay.
And I just felt like, so I obviously wrote DeLuca. I love DeLuca, period. But I thought it would be particularly fun to write it in early in this, just to let him show off. And when I got the page, I was like, I had no idea like you were going to show off this much, to be like, hey, people, remember I did that Hawkeye 8-10 years ago, whatever it was. Well, Here we are now.
Jesus. Well, I can't believe it's been that long.
Good.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
So good.
My God. And the color choices are amazing.
Jordy's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I shame on me. Of course, Jordy Belair is amazing. Way to go, Jordy.
Yeah, she's incredible. And I have to give a shout out, not just to what Jordy's doing, which is really different and special, but to Ben and to DC, Ben Abernathy, our editor, and DC, who have just really run with it. Like they just got it. They just were like, this book looks cool. This looks cool. This looks interesting. Like they're very behind it. And it's been incredibly supportive. It's Birds of Prey. It's turning out to be just an absolute dream for me. It's one of those things where you almost like don't want to get too attached to it because then you're afraid you can't survive it being taken away.
Are you from the start? Is this your team? Was there any editorial like, boy, we'd like you to use X, Y, or Z? Tell me about forming the team.
No, for good or ill. And I guess that ill, depending on if you don't like the team, and good if it's your favorite book. DC completely stayed out of my way. They were awesome about it. They were like, once we came together on, yes, you should pitch a Birds of Prey. I was like, are there anything you guys want or don't want to see? Then Ben was just like, make it cool. Make it what you'd want. And I'm like, those are the magic words. And so I just dug into it. I just reached for every cool character that I wanted to write. And in some cases I was like, this is maybe my only shot. Like, you don't know if you get to write more DC books after you do one. And so I was like, who do I want to write? I want to write Cass. I want to write Barda. Obviously I'm writing Dinah. I thought about putting Babs in there. Obviously she's the other obvious person, but I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to keep it from being exactly what we'd seen before. So that's why I mixed that was part of why I mixed the cast up so much. And then, there's just I don't know. I feel like there's an art to getting the team right, and you don't really always do it, but I just knew these guys would work. And I just they all serve a point both narratively and emotionally, and I'm sure I won't tie up everything perfectly, but I think all the parts are there for it to be just like a really great Birds of Prey story that can like hold up over time, you know?
100%. And it reminds me, and I don't understand why Marvel, unless they are doing it and I've missed it, but a couple years ago, they did, was it called A-List or A-Team?
A-Force, I wrote it. I mean, I didn't create it. I didn't, just to be clear.
All right, I apologize.
No.
Because
G. Willow Wilson and
right,
Marguerite Bennett created
Yes.
it in Secret Wars, and
Yes.
then it was so popular. It was the all-female Avengers team, basically called A-Force, which is a terrible name. But I did name the letters page when I got in charge of it. I did name the letters page A letters page, which was a hilarious joke that nobody cared one whit about, and it's very upsetting to me. Anyway. So then it was very popular. And so when Secret Wars Battle World stuff went away, they brought A-Force in the continuity and that character Singularity that they created for that. And Willow started writing that and was planned to be the writer for it. And she had some family stuff happen. And so I was tapped I took over with issue 2, basically. I mean, it was her plotting for the first arc and I took over. Yeah.
No, I apologize because I loved it.
Well,
and I know it's a while ago, but yeah, that's great. And it makes sense because you're bringing that same kind of vibe and power to Birds of Prey. And I don't understand why, and give them a better name, whatever. But really, it's, and listen, man, I'm a Neanderthal. I'm an old Bronze Age reader. And I've never been anti-women comics, but it has been great to see there just seems to be more life to these. And also, in fairness, a lot of times they were written by men. I mean, my buddy Marty Pasco wrote Wonder Woman. Vinnie Coletta infamously was one of the artists on Wonder Woman back in the day. You know, I mean, it wasn't until Kelly Sue DeConnick and Gail Simone were kind of part of that first wave of women getting the opportunities and stuff. Now, Snake says, and I want to know what you think of this, because he's like, of course, the obvious question, do you have other DC projects? Would you want to write any male-led books?
I'm sorry, what did you say? You broke up there. Would I want to write what?
Would you want to write any of DC or Marvel's male lead characters?
Oh, of course, of course. I mean, listen, I was super excited to get tapped for Deadpool when I was at Marvel. I was excited because I really thought I had something good to say with Deadpool, and I was very excited about it. But I was also really excited because it was the first gig I'd given that wasn't a female lead. And
sure.
That it's a tricky thing for me because, you know, a lot of people feel like writing the female books is like being put in some kind of, you know, gender ghetto or something where you're not getting the opportunity of the popular characters. And like, I get it and I see it and I do want my career to be successful. So you don't want to get trapped and pigeonholed into writing just one thing that for whatever reason the rest of the industry deems less important than whatever, Spider-Man, Batman, whatever the dude title is.
Yeah.
So but I really like those women. I'm very interested in their stories. There's also often a lot more opportunity to do interesting or offbeat stories with them that really matter because there's less priority on them. They're maybe not billion-dollar characters the same way someone like Captain Marvel is now. And there's just people watching it and controlling it a little less tightly sometimes. And so I think sometimes there's a lot of advantage in that, but nobody wants to be pigeonholed and everybody wants to write Batman. So, you know, of course there are dude centric. There are lots of books at DC I'd like to write eventually. And some of them are dudes. Batman certainly is the bullet at the top of the list. I'd obviously love to write more Wonder Woman. I'm working on a Black Label pitch right now that I'm very, very excited about. Cool. I don't know if it'll get greenlit, but you know, I just think DC's got incredible iconic characters. There's tons that I would want to, you know, I like all the Justice League Dark stuff and the Magic stuff. I like Constantine so much. Constantine. I know that's a problem. I'm never going to solve it. I'm always going to call it Constantine. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll be honest. You said Thermoscera, and I always give it a hard C, Thermoscera. And I'm Greek, but who the hell knows?
Well, don't I say Themyscira? That's usually what I say. Is that
I
bad?
I don't know. Earlier, I didn't hear the hard C, but who cares? Who cares? It's fine. My God.
At least we're not saying Magneto, which is what my partner used to say when he was little about Magneto, because he'd never heard anyone say it. It's a magnet. He's like, it's Magneto. I'm like, you're an idiot.
My father was a comics reader in the 40s, and I remember bringing a Namor comic home, and he went, "Oh, Submariner." And it's like, yeah, because nobody, reading the Ancient Mariner and things. Yeah, I mean, again, World War II, Submariner. Of course it's Submariner. So, so believe me, I know. Stanley wants to know, do you prefer writing teams or solo books?
I think I have to say teams. Yeah, I think I have to say teams, because even when you give me a solo book like Captain Marvel or Black Widow, I do tend to populate it out with supporting casts that feel. I mean, it's not it's not serious, but it's also not a lie to say ever since I lost A-Force, I've been trying to rebuild it. Like I've been trying to have a Birds of Prey at Marvel, and it just kept not quite working. I mean, the only thing I was able to get to go for really long was Captain Marvel, but I don't know. That was definitely a solo title. I tried to really respect that, but Jessica and Hazmat and Rhodey were in almost every issue, one of them at least, and then L'Oreal, her sister, I brought in, and things like that. So I do tend to populate it out. It's probably just, we could make it more in depth or psychological or something than this, but it's probably just that I'm good at dialogue, and I know I'm good at dialogue. So you lean to that, you go, well, what do I want? Would I rather have characters that I care about bouncing like dialogue off each other? Would I rather read the story that way, or would I rather just have like interior narrative captions? And there's nothing wrong with the interior captions. I certainly use them plenty of times. It can really help define a voice. I mean, I use them a lot on Kate Bishop, for example. But if I have to choose, or if I'm going to lean more towards one than the other, I'd always rather have the dialogue. I just feel it gives you a better chance to connect with more people. It can be more charming and less sort of navel gazing, if you're instead of being in someone's head. But the other problem with the captions is, if I do have more than one character, I really don't like having like color-coded captions to let everybody know what everyone's thoughts are. I really draw the line hard at that. So, for example, Birds of Prey, team book, lots of dialogue and back and forth between characters, but we're only ever in Dinah's head. So I'm pretty hardliner about that.
Well, and I understand that, but I also think one of the benefits of doing that is, as far as more dialogue and less just punching and everything. Bendis always says it, and I agree with him. We've seen fight scenes for decades. Yeah. What we haven't seen are a lot of interesting interpersonal conversation. It's an opportunity to show character. The conflicts within the Birds of Prey are fun to watch with this current team, but also even going back to Captain Marvel and what you did, there's just, again, maybe because of the writing back in the day, but it feels like now there's more of an opportunity to explore friendships within the DC universe or Marvel universe between the women that maybe weren't exploited before. I love Barda in this book. I think absolutely, man. She's got, and you'll forgive me, I'll make a male reference, but it's very Thor-like, and of course, because she's a new god. But that's the thing. There's this regal superiority thing. I loved, and I want to be careful because I have already read issue 4.
Oh, you did
on Tuesday. Yeah, DC's.
Did you like it?
Of course I did. Of course I did. But I loved when Barda. The plan is laid out. The cover is out there. We know the team is going to get Sin away from the Amazons. Dinah,
yeah, and Barda's supposed to be the one that takes care of Wonder Woman if she shows up. That's literally the plan. That's why you bring Barda. Like, you know, yes, she's good at other things, but she's literally there to take care of Wonder Woman. So
which is cool. And she's like, she's even like, well, how are you going to stack up against Diana? And it's like, yeah, you know, depends on the weapons, depends on the fighting.
Yeah.
You know,
I was a little bummed. I saw some people who didn't know what I was saying with "it's a push." I guess they weren't familiar with that sort of phrasing, and so they were like, "Why is she just saying she can only push her?" And I'm like, "Oh God!" I'm like, "No, I'm no. What she's saying is it'll be tight. It's tough. It's going to be close. You know, it's not.
Absolutely.
I can't just say I can beat Wonder Woman. Like, can I take her? Maybe. I don't know."
Yeah.
Like it's not an answered question, you know, and I think that's true. And Barda also knows that even though that's her job, there are 5 of them. So, you know, it's like, will other people be helping her or whatever, which is sort of the great cast stuff that's in this. Well, there are a couple great cast moments in this, but I really felt like Cass was channeling Batman very hard in a good way in her tussling with Diana. So
I hear you, and I loved Barda's first encounter with Cassandra, and I love that she calls her Little Bat, and respects her, but also can't help notice that she's 3 times the size of Cassandra.
I just think someone who calls himself Big Barda, they're gonna call someone Small Bat. Like, it's just the way her brain is. And like, I did have someone saying to me, like, you know, Barda's been around for decades. Like, even if you want to go on a sliding scale, she's been on Earth for so long. Why would she talk weird? And I'm like, my take on that is, yes, a normal person would have assimilated more. Barda is not a normal person. She's not going to assimilate. She talks the way she talks because that's the way she talks. Even if she loves Earth and all that comes with it, and who wouldn't when you come from Apocalypse?
Absolutely.
Like, you'd be like, this is excellent. Suburban life seems great. Sign me up. You know, she's not someone who's going to be, you know, like, I'm very impressionable. If you put me around a lot of British people, like an absolute asshat, I am going to start picking that up. Like, I dated a guy when I was living with an old roommate in LA who was not British. Well, he's British national, but he had been living in London, and he came over and he had a pretty thick accent. And I was living with him, and I was dating this guy. Well, I was trying to talk to this guy I was dating, like Craigslist time, where we met, we're talking, whatever. And so I've never met him. We've only done emails and stuff. And at one point he's like, this is a really weird question, but are you British? And I was like, oh my God. I was like, no, I'm sorry. I'm not British. I'm a charlatan who picks up things. I'm just like a magpie. You know, I think it's one of the reasons I do well with dialogue, and I can use it as a strength. I just hear it right, you know, but it does make me feel like an asshole when you feel like people think you're mocking them, or like, you know, that you don't have a hold on your identity. And so that idea of Barda, like, not assimilating, it came from that idea that she's got a stronger mind than me. She's not going to just start talking the way everyone talks because that's where she lives. And we play with that a little bit with when we talk about the Mega Rod and the lasso too, like what has to go on in her mind as a new god who carries a Mega Rod all the time. Like, that's constantly blasting propaganda in her mind. So she's got a very powerful mind. Like, I love her. She's so fun.
You know, I agree with Caesar of Rome, who says Wonder Woman looking very Perez on the cover. Agreed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. That Leo does that great curly hair. Is so fun.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so Warren is catching up. What book has Diana and Barda? That's the cover you're seeing right now, Warren, that comes out on Tuesday, Birds of Prey 4. And I guess Warren only knows you from the current stuff because he goes, we need Kelly writing in the MCU. Well, she has. She's had quite a track record with Captain Marvel, and as shame on me not remembering A-Force. But no,
does Warren mean that, or does he mean I should be writing the movies? To which I agree, Warren.
And that would be great. God, that would be fantastic. Well, you know, Kel, I want to ask you about the Marvels in a second, the movie. But
He did mean the movies. See?
oh, there you go. Yep. I see
Also,
what-
Warren, we should tell you that Wonder Woman shows up in 3 as well. And she'll be in 3 through 6, although she's in much less of her big issues are 3 and 4. So
Gotcha. Absolutely. More questions. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm just Lewis Headache. Hi, Kelly. Big fan of your work. Any chance you'll collaborate with Elena Casagrande again? Really enjoyed your Black Widow. Yes, indeed. Her Black Widow run. Painful to see it was canceled right after you won an Eisner for it. Yeah, that sucks when that happens.
yeah, in fairness to Marvel, so I'd love to work with Elena again. It's probably not in the near future because Marvel, very rightly so, snapped her up. I think she's one of their Stormbreakers, which means she's probably under an exclusive. So it'll probably be a while. But I would love to partner with her again. One of Black Widow ended up being one of my favorite books I did at Marvel, and I had a lot of favorites, so it's no small compliment. And a lot of that had to do with Elena and Jordi doing the art. Also, Raphael de la Tour did a lot for us too. He was incredible. In fairness to Marvel, they were always gonna cancel Black Widow, but they did want to bring it back immediately. I think they initially wanted me to write a White Widow thing, and then maybe and then I pitched doing a Widows thing that was both of them, so that we could like rebrand the book and try again with a number 1 and like, you know, all that stuff that we do.
Sure.
So they really did want to do that, and they were intending to do that, and I believe they would have, but because we couldn't agree on my new contract, it meant I couldn't really keep working for them. And I was willing to wrap up Captain Marvel. Obviously, everyone wanted me to see that through. And I still had some Jeff stuff in my plate, but it meant I couldn't do more Black Widow. And it was heartbreaking to me, but that was the choice. So I don't know.
Okay.
They did want to bring it back, in fairness to them. They didn't want to re-sign me, or we couldn't agree on what that should be. So it's still their fault, but maybe we can understand it a little more, right?
No, I get it. Now at DC, are there more books coming that will be announced in 24 that we haven't heard yet?
I hope so. I'm doing more pitching, and honestly, DC has been so incredible. I've found them to be really amazing. It looks like I missed my window to work with Jessica Chen because she got some amazing other opportunity and has sort of moving on. But you know, Andrea, I did the Harley issue with. She and I are talking about a pitch now, and Ben and I are having a great time on Birds of Prey. So I'm really excited about doing some more stuff there. But it's on me. I just haven't been able to finish a couple pitches to hopefully get that happening. But I hope so. Yes.
Stanley wants to know, and I'm glad we mentioned Harley because we'll get into it. Do you like writing wild anti-hero characters like Harley? Well, I can attest. Not only reading the way Kelly's been handling Harley and Birds of Prey, but also, as we mentioned, the story. Do I have it? Let me see if I put it up yet. All right. Well, no, but I'll get it while we're talking about it. Black, White, and Redder. You had that fantastic story with Harley and Zatanna, and it's this wild origin story that is a lot of fun. But yeah, tell me about writing dialogue for Harley as I bring up that splash page I love.
I don't think my Harley is the same necessarily as everyone else's, although there's a lot of variation within the Harley voice and take, I think. I felt confident about taking her on because I had written both Deadpool and Gwenpool to various degrees of success.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I had an idea for these sort of wacky, unpredictable characters, and particularly these characters that tend to pull focus in a book. And so everyone was worried about Harley taking over. And maybe those people still feel that way about Birds of Prey, but I wasn't concerned about it. I was like, listen, I populated the whole thing with a bunch of sort of, you know, 2 completely silent assassin types in Batgirl and Zealot. Barda, who does speak a lot, but like not banter, you know, she's not chattering, she's just like making declarative statements. Barda is the best, Barda goes here, you know. So I needed Harley. I really did. I mean, like, I not only had ideas for her as sort of a slightly different cog in the wheel of this Birds of Prey team, but I just needed her lightness, her levity. I really liked how that dynamic played out with all of it. In fact, it's one of the things that has me most nervous about rolling her off, is that I think I do have to fill that slot. I mean, whenever I see people online like trying to cast a team, they're always looking at the wrong things. In my opinion.
No, tell me. Yeah.
In my opinion, they're always picking characters that they think go together.
Sure.
But you need to at least have a few characters that don't go together. Like, that's what creates the oil and water that's so interesting. It's like, I mean, think of a Buffy season. It really shows in a not good way when they're missing a truth teller character. When they roll Cordelia off, why do you think they roll Spike in? It's because you need a character who's not just wants hugs and hangout time, and what you need someone to be creating a churn there. And so putting together a bunch of characters that love each other, like now Babs, Dinah, and Huntress, there's very little conflict there. Now, can you create it? Of course, you can do anything, but you're naturally going to like find a lot of interesting things to bump off of each other if you put some characters that don't necessarily go together and like really try to, explore it and excavate it,
Yeah, well, Caesar says it right. Yeah, like Guy Gardner and everyone else.
I don't know. I don't know if anyone has to be as much of an asshole as Guy Gardner, but yes.
Well, and honestly, based on this cover, I was kind of expecting a Batman Guy Gardner almost encounter with Barda and Wonder Woman. But as you say, and I love that when they first approached Harley, there's immediate conflict with Dinah. And no, you need conflict. You absolutely, I mean, God, in my communications classes back in college, they would always talking about the central negative character in a small group. And again, forgive me, but this is an ancient reference. Gene Hackman and Ernest Borgnine in the Poseidon Adventure. I know.
I love the Poseidon Adventure.
Oh, there you go. So you know what I'm talking about. So
I love it so much.
So
You're
unlike
totally
us,
right. You're totally right.
well, for the people that don't, the uninitiated, Gene Hackman is the leader of the group. They gotta find a way out of the boat.
And right out of the gate, it's weird because he's an angry priest. Like he's like a
yes. Yes, he's modern. He's a very modern priest. Yeah. And Ernest Borgnine is the central negative character. And preacher, I don't know where you're leading us, but I think everything you're doing is wrong. And you do. You need that conflict.
And the fucking character arc for Ernest Borgnine. Like, I'm sorry, I know it's just Poseidon Adventure.
No, I love that.
Tell me that's not so emotional, that ending, and we're ruining it for people. Get on it, people. It was out in like the 70s. The Hackman sacrificing himself to force Ernest Borgnine. I just told him it was a spoiler. Mute it. To force Ernest Borgnine into like ascending the mantle of becoming a hero. It's really good. Good.
That's the deception, because you can immediately write it off as, okay, it's a disaster movie, I'm not interested. It's just like the people that know Soylent Green is People and Rosebud is the sled in Citizen Kane. And it's like, man, if you think mission accomplished and you walk away from these movies, you're missing incredible films.
Yeah.
And they really do. Poseidon Adventure is a great example of that. And yes, his character arc is incredible. And I always say
it's also got Shelley Winters as a fat older woman who saves the day.
Yes.
She dies as a thanks, but you never get to see that.
100%.
I mean,
I'm assuming you're New York, aren't you, Kel?
Well, I'm in Portland now, but I lived in New York for
my God. Oh, Kel, I'm sorry, because I assumed that you were still East Coast.
No.
But regardless, Dean Haspiel, I don't know how well you know him.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, that's Shelley Winters is his godmother.
Oh, that's cool.
And he grew up really like hanging out at her apartment. Farley Granger, one of the great Alfred Hitchcock actors, like lived above Shelley, and De Niro would like come, and because not only did he make I forget which Roger Corman film they made together, but she would direct small theater and De Niro would be in it. So he has all
Awesome.
these amazing stories.
I
And I'm
bet.
like, yeah, and I'm like, dude, you gotta do a Shelley, graphic novel, because she really is kind of unsung, because people see her overweight and they've got preconceived notions. And it's like, if you go through her film career, I mean, of course, Lolita, but lots of stuff in the 50s. Plus, my God, what a real life. I read her autobiography.
Oh, that's
And
incredible.
yeah, yeah. And she really, and that's why I'm like,
It's awesome.
it's kind of like how Lucille Ball has gotten a second bite of the apple in terms of, well, yeah, she's a great comedian, but she greenlit Mission Impossible and Star Trek. And all the nerds are like, I didn't know that about Lucy. That's amazing. So no, it's kind of cool, and thankfully Brad Meltzer and Iliopoulos, made that I Am Lucille Ball. Hell, I should, something, I should bug Brad and Chris about an I Am Shelley Winters. It's really, I mean, no, you really
Yeah.
you look at your career.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, massive tangent. You'll forgive me. But all right, and truly, honestly, I'm so glad we spent this much time on Birds, because it's great. And I'm glad you're pitching. I hope that more things come up. But I do have to ask you about the Marvels. I will confess I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't either.
Did you see it?
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right, never mind then. Well, that'll be a very quick.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell me.
I saw I was credited, which is very nice. I've had
Oh, that's
a lot of people very nicely saying online and stuff that things about it reminded me of it. Stuff with the universal weapon, I guess, comes from my run, or seems to
Terrific.
come from my run. So that's great. I don't go to the theater that much ever since the pandemic. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about myself, because in 2022, I only saw one movie in the theater and I didn't like it. And it made me really mad that the only movie I saw in the theater was a movie I really didn't like. But this year I've seen Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Killers of the Flower Moon. And I hope I'm going to go see Saltburn and maybe a couple others before the end of the year.
Good for you.
So it would really do me better. But all that to say, I'm just pretty busy. I'm pretty focused on trying to get. I've also got, you may have seen in your travels, I've been trying to dig myself out of a sort of tax bill hole. So I've just been pretty busy. But also, I'm not going to lie, there's some feelings. I get very attached to the projects I do. And sometimes it's hard to engage with it after I can't participate anymore. You know what I mean? So
I do.
There's a little bit of that going on.
A lot of
too.
creators tell me that it's kind of like seeing your old partner with a new partner. And it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I get that. Another friend of mine made a really interesting point online and was okay with the Marvels, but said Carol really got a disservice. And if they were going to make a second movie, what they should have done, and I kind of agree with this, and I love Monica Rambeau, and I really, really love Kamala, and I love the way she's been portrayed in the MCU. But we kind of got short shrift when Carol shows up in Endgame. And it's like, well, we've been here at Earth. Where have you been? She's like, I've been saving the rest of the galaxy's ass, because it's a big galaxy out there.
Yeah.
So we should have seen that movie. And he referred to it as her Empire Strikes Back. And but I kind of get it. And it's like, yeah, it's a shame that we didn't see more of Carol saving these other planets after the snap,
It is and it isn't, because I mean, I see your point, and again, without having seen the movie, I certainly don't have a lot to stand on, but I do think people can sometimes have trouble when the projects are so big that it doesn't feel like it's related to Earth anymore. Like,
okay,
if we're on other planet, I'm not saying always, because, like, for example, Guardians 3 was very emotional. I think that hit people really hard. I mean, I was very angry because I felt like a bit manipulated by the horrible torture of animals and experimentation. I mean, like, that's just a really hard thing for me to watch. And so, I mean, I was just in tears, and I was like, I mean, I guess it's impressive that this Marvel movie has me in tears, but I feel like they stacked the deck a little bit in, like, how they did that. But I do think that for any flaws you might find in it, they really spent the time of, like, building that world of just cages for those characters. And then that world that looks like Earth, that's populated with those, that's getting destroyed. Like they took the time to like make you care about those things so that it worked pretty well. But I do think with all the special effects stuff and all the requirements that get put on a movie like Marvel's, it's a lot to juggle to also set it not on Earth and like have it be about other people and things. And like also, again, neither you nor I saw the movie, so we're probably not the best people to be talking about this, but
Totally.
it did look to me like very little of it took place on Earth. It looked like it was on that planet with the singing from Kelly Sue DeConnick's run, I thought. And then like, so I'm sure that the woman, the villain wielding the universal weapon, I'm sure she's trying to hurt Earth. I'm sure that's part of the gambit. But whenever I would look at it, it always seemed like it was on another planet or a spaceship when I would see footage. So I'm not sure they didn't sort of do that. Didn't they try to maybe? Well, I don't know.
Maybe, and I do know the family is, Kamala's family is back from the series and everything, so that's cool. So all that is happening on Earth.
Yeah.
It seems like there is a lot of, again, only seeing the trailer, dimension, kind of switching of everybody winding up in different places from where they started.
Which that seems very fun to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. No,
I don't know. I don't know how it plays out. I certainly see how it could be disastrous as well, but it does seem very fun to me and very like in the spirit of the comics. I think my biggest regret is I wish they decouple. I think so. I'm a big Monica Rambeau fan. Big time.
Oh yeah.
But my favorite stuff with Monica Rambeau is Next Wave Agents of Hate.
Cool.
Which is very counter to most Avengers Captain Marvel stuff.
True.
And so when Monica showed up in Carol's past, what I really wanted to happen was for us to get a Captain Marvel 2 or whatever, and for Monica to spin out into a Next Wave. Like, I wanted the next time we saw Monica to have her like walking out of a portal with Machine Man and Elsa Bloodstone because they just been killing shit in another dimension and now they're back or whatever. Like I wanted like a crazy wild Next Wave where we got where we maybe skipped over for now where Monica has been and addressed, all of that stuff. And then you can, if you want to go back in time and show how Monica got to that point, like, fine, sure. But why do we have to front load origin stories? Like, get to her later. Like, just tell the cool story now, imagine she and Elsa Bloodstone with an axe on her shoulder, a Machine Man walking out of a port. Like, to me, that just felt like we can go here. We can do this. Like, I don't know why we wouldn't, but whatever.
That's
I'm
great. No, you're making me want to thank God I have Marvel Unlimited. I'm going to have to reread Next Wave and enjoy it again.
So good.
Chanda Sook says, hey, Kelly, I like your Sabrina Teenage Witch series. Any chance for a volume 3? I know there's a winter special coming up, but wasn't sure of anything else.
So I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. I don't think it's not really a thing, but I totally enjoyed doing that short story. Veronica totally enjoyed doing that short story. Cool. It was really fun. Archie seemed to enjoy it. I think it's great. And it takes place, basically, it's like sort of a short story set in what we would have done if we'd gotten a volume 3, which our series was very popular, but the second volume, it hit right in the middle of COVID. It just killed it. It killed so many things, so it just didn't happen. But, if people really, really love this one shot and everyone's talking about it, like maybe Archie would ask Veronica and I to come back and do another volume. I think it's very unlikely, but it's possible. I would certainly do it if they asked. And Veronica could do it. I love working with her. She's got such an effortless, so this is a 12-page short. And, she obviously knows Sabrina very well, but we set it in a like a magic school and we built all new characters for it. And I was like, my God, Veronica's going to kill me. I'm like 5 sub supporting characters for this fucking 12-page short story. She turned in these designs. It was like we were writing a graphic novel and it was going to take us 2 years. They were so beautiful and so well thought out. And I was just like, man, you never get this kind of quality in a 12-page short story. I just felt very lucky all around. It was such a great experience.
That's excellent. Do you know when this winter special is coming out?
I think it's actually, I think I have the date. Hold on.
No problem.
Oh no, maybe not.
No problem. I'm letting the next commenter know because she's asking how hard it is to write Harley in the context of the serious heroes around her. I guess that's a slightly different question.
December 13th. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. December 13th, everyone, for the Sabrina winter special with Veronica Fish and Kelly Sue. That's terrific. But yeah, I don't know. Is there more to say about writing Harley in the context of the serious heroes around her?
My thing with Harley was I wanted her to be able to be herself and to bring that sort of wackiness and that unpredictableness to it. But I also didn't want her to be, I don't know. I don't want her to be the butt of someone's jokes all the time. Like that. I mean, that's why that, they get on the island of Themyscira in a completely wacky way, like a completely comic booky weirdness that you'd have to be insane to try. But when it works and they're on the island, Harley is running her mouth and Dinah comes up to her and Harley's like, I know, shut up. Like, whatever. Like, she's just sick of people treating her this way. And she brings a lot of it on herself. But I just wanted them to have a real moment beneath all the chatter. And so Dinah is just like, Harley, thank you. Like, you did this thing for me and I'm not going to forget it. Because that's the thing about Dinah is like, Dinah, Harley might irritate her or whatever, but Dinah's good all the way down, man. Like, she wants to do the right thing no matter what it takes. And sometimes the right thing is just looking at somebody, looking them in the eye and telling them thank you for helping you with a problem you have, And it was not only really important. I think when Leo, one of the very few comments I've given him on anything in this was that when he did the first layout for that, he didn't show us Harley's face really. She was either in profile or she was looking down or whatever. I was like, man, I think we got to see her face, Leo, because I think it's a big moment for her that someone's thanking her instead of telling her to shut up. Like, it's a nice change of pace. And he was like, I totally see it, And so then he gave us that great face, which, again, it's like we were talking about Anna Wu before.
Yeah.
The master of expression. It's such a gift as a writer when you're working with someone that can get those kind of pinpoint accuracy so that you can leave the words off sometimes or do less,
Totally.
It's like I was with Leo, and Annie is another great one. The accuracy of their expressions, it makes things almost palpable. And it's such it's truly the things that make me the writer I am today, is being able to work with people like that who prop me up and allow the story to be, the hope is that I give them the bones of something really great and then they build it up and make it even better. And then when I come back in to finalize it, I hopefully can do less than I started out doing because they've done so much. And
Absolutely.
when it works that way, it's magical.
Absolutely. No, the artist has the heavy lifting and makes the writer's words look good. Would you ever? It's funny. I forget some of the creators I've been talking to lately. Actually, I think it was Jeffrey Thorne, who didn't realize the amount of novels that DC and Marvel do beyond, comics and stuff. Would you ever want to write a novel about DC or Marvel characters?
I don't know. I was really mad when Marvel didn't want me to write the Rogue novel, because like if there's anything I've been born to do, it was literally that.
No, but I didn't know about that. That's interesting. Yeah.
I was very mad. They don't know that. Like, I don't even know if I was on a list or anything. It's not like that, but it's just like in your head, you're like, that I was born to do that. And I was almost in the right place to do it. And it just didn't happen. but in general, so there are things like, could you talk me into some of these things because I really love the characters or I really find it interesting? Yes. But I will say that because I've written my own novels, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to think about writing another novel that's not IP that I own and characters that I can do what I want with.
I get it.
Especially in prose, I feel like there are even more moments where you're like, ugh, someone's going to stop me from doing this, or be like, oh, that's not the direction, or whatever, because you don't have, they're just so much longer. There are so many more choices within one novel than, a couple issues of a book, of a comic. I don't know. So maybe, but probably not.
I absolutely hear you. And before we transition into some of your creator-owned comics, another comment from Ange. Joining late, I've been a fan from the beginning. Love Jen. Kimber throwing a pie at Pizzazz is a favorite comic moment, which is fantastic.
Yeah, but talk about having the right artist for that. Whew. Sophie Campbell on that.
Oh, that's great.
First arc of Gem. Oh, incredible. Home run.
Hilarious. Outstanding. Well, right now I know Cull is still going on. I think that's the most recent issue.
Yes, that's issue 4 from last month. Issue 5 is out in January, which I know is not great, but it's a little longer, and I promise it will be worth the wait. What Maddie is doing is it's mind blowing.
Well,
and that book in particular has a really intense ending. So,
oh, very cool. No, I love the world building you did in it when we first talked about it in our last conversation. So that's great to hear. And then in August, I guess, Black Cloak wrapped up.
Black Cloak wrapped up. I think the trade was out in September, and we're supposed to be doing more of that. I hope we start up in March.
Oh, that's great.
I think it's March. Yeah. I've got an incredible cover from Meredith, and she's been doing all these character designs. It's been on me just dealing with like trying to catch up with some work, but Black Cloak is something I really loved from the jump, but I'm very happy with how we wrapped that first arc up. I think it's super powerful. I think people who pick it up to read it in trade will be pretty wowed by the end, and I hope some of them will come back for more.
That's excellent. And again, because I'm always curious about everybody's Substack and everything. How's that going for you?
Good. I mean, I'm super grateful for it right now, especially as social media continues to disintegrate around me. It's been an incredible lifeline. I feel like we're building a great little community there. It's uncertain times, and it feels nice to have that. Yeah.
No, I get it. Honestly, I'm hanging on with my fingernails at Twitter, and certainly Musk's not making it easier every week. Like, shut up.
I mean, I can't believe the thing from yesterday. Like, the Earth we've already been watching, dude. You ruined it. It's not these advertisers. Like, does he really think people are going to fall for that? Like, how out of touch is he? Like, I know it's hard to be in touch when you're a billionaire, but my God, you're on Twitter every day. You can't see that. Yes, he has people that love him that would lie down in front of traffic for him. Absolutely. No doubt. He's also one of the most loathed men on the planet. So I don't know why he thinks that 50 whatever percent that loathes him. I mean, they didn't come to that on their out of nowhere. Pre Elon getting involved in Twitter, I was pretty neutral on him. I would say there was a time when I was neutral to positive. I'm like, I don't know. Seems like he's doing some interesting things. He seems to care about the environment and want to push these things forward. It's hard to tell how much that is just a billionaire playing with a lot of toys and like us being some of the toys, but it seems pretty reasonable right now. It's only through the Twitter stuff. I mean, I don't think he has any clue how many people's lives he have totally upended and destroyed, like just via their avenues of how they were making money and things. It's so destructive.
Agreed.
Those people aren't going to forgive him. Those people don't think it's Disney not wanting their ad next to a Nazi ad. Like how can he be that out of touch? It truly boggles my mind.
I'm with you. And also, I don't know if you saw it, but PBS, the Frontline TV show, did a fantastic 2-hour thing about the destruction of Twitter. And
oh my God, I didn't see it recently.
Yeah, in the last couple months, definitely.
Oh, okay. I'll go look for that.
Absolutely. I'm sure everybody check your PBS app.
Yeah.
Put in your local channel and you'll be able to watch it, I'm sure. Because PBS is good that way. So, no, it's cool. Kelly, you're killing it. Well done, truly. And always happy to talk to you. But very excited for what's happening in Birds of Prey, what's coming this Tuesday, for everyone else to catch up and see this incredible conflict between Diana Prince and the birds. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah, after we finish recording, you're gonna have to stay on the line with me for a minute.
Okay, hilarious.
I don't know anyone else who didn't make the issue who's read it. So
okay.
It's time for you to be questioned, sir.
Oh, it'd be my pleasure. Absolutely. No, absolutely. Are you a Doctor Who person?
No, much to Dan
Okay.
Slott's. Dan Slott has tried several times to get me in. We've had a couple good conversations about it. And I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, my interest in it seems almost entirely based on I like David Tennant, so maybe I should try that season. And he goes, well, that's a great season. He's so cute about it. Like he'll try to get you in there any way he can. I think without insulting millions of Doctor Who fans, I think I'm very interested in a lot of the ideas, but I'm worried about some of the execution, which I know is sort of classically comical, like some of the effects and stuff. Like sure. I know that's part of the charm, but I don't always feel charmed by that. It really depends. So
I get it.
But I would say the bigger thing is, and it's ironic because this is a big problem comics have, is it just feels hard to get into because there's so much.
Well, I do think that with Ncuti Gatwa taking over after these specials, that they are kind of clean slating things
a little bit,
which I also find intriguing.
Yeah.
But the reason why I bring it up is for the people watching and listening, I'm going to have a live conversation very early. You're going to be asleep. Yeah, Kel, because it's going to happen at 7 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning because it's 1 p.m. Madrid time. And I'll be talking to Pat Mills, who we all know, he and Dave Gibbons wrote the original story that this first 60th anniversary special is based on. I've got for the video audience.
That's cool.
That's the title card right there. And it's really great to hear, and you'll appreciate this as a comic book creator, that not only are they acknowledged with the credit, but they were both compensated as well.
Well, that's the real bar. Let me tell you what. I saw someone on Twitter or Blue Sky, I don't know which one, talking the other day about how they wish they could create. There were a couple things there, but Jeff the Land Shark was one of them. So they were like three like pet type characters or whatever that had gone viral, like things like that. They were like, I wish I could just create my this or Jeff the Land Shark or this, and then I just wouldn't have to worry anymore. And I thought, if they're talking about money, they don't know how this works.
I hear you. Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned Jeff, because I meant to say earlier too that I saw a bit of a connection between Jeff and King Shark in your Birds of Prey story as well.
Yes, I wouldn't have put King Shark in there if I couldn't figure out a way to do it that I thought was fun. But once I knew I was on Themyscira and I knew we were going to have to deal with the megalodons, I was like, wait, that's a perfect way to bring King Shark in. I'm doing it. I was like, and that'll be a super fun nod for all these people that know Jeff the Land Shark who followed me over to Birds of Prey. Like, hopefully they'll get it. Like, oh, here's another talking land shark type. So yeah, it's very fun. I mean, listen, I've said for a long time, I like to make my own fun. There's a lot of me making my own fun in my comics, like writing jokes I think are funny. My partner loves to make fun of me if I'm like looking at some of my old stuff and laugh at some of my own jokes. He's like, oh my God. He's like, you're so embarrassing. I was like, listen, These are good comics. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about either.
I was like, yes, some of the older ones are overwritten. I can see that now. It's okay. It's all right. It happens to all of us. He's very defensive.
Well, I understand you don't need to be because you're killing it, like I said earlier. And continued success. I'm sure we'll be talking in 24, but glad to catch up with you today. And God, remind me next time I reach out that you're West Coast and not East Coast, because I always want to like map out for when we're talking and stuff with creators and stuff that it's okay, it's in your time zone, so you're not confused and everything. And you know, I can remember the difference. It's all right.
That's all right. Everyone on the East Coast thinks theirs is the primary time zone. So
100%.
If you're on the West Coast, you just account for it naturally.
Well, and if you're not LA, even worse. I know from a sports background, you know, when Griffey Jr. was killing it in Seattle, and some of the other big stories were with the Giants and Seattle and stuff. And you're right, it is that East Coast, like, well, you know, the sun rises and sets with us.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. Well, I'm in flyover country. You know that. I'm in Chicago. So,
are you? Is Chicago flyover? I mean, I guess technically, but it does feel apart from that vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Just,
I mean,
it's such a significant city, and it's sort of up higher a little bit.
Sure.
I don't know.
No, you're right. And it's number 3 as far as population. But
is it number 3? I figured, but I wasn't positive.
Yeah. But there you go. Well, well done, Cal, truly. And I will stay on the line, and we'll talk to each other in just a second. Everybody,
are you ready to be grilled? Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.